Welcome to Love Light with Dr. Jean Marie Farish. Today, we'll show you how to use the spirit of love and self-worth to improve the connections with everyone else in your life. This program is your weekly gift, and it will keep on giving. You'll see. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jean Marie Farish.
Greetings and a hearty welcome, everyone. I hope you're all faring well. I'm Dr. Jean Marie, your Love Light host, coming to you from the Voice America Empowerment Channel, shining love light into your hearts and homes to empower you to create a life you love. We're delighted to have you and hope our show will be inspirational, enlightening, and encouraging. And we are grateful to our listeners worldwide who tune in live and on demand. We have a wonderful show today. Gratitude, finding beauty in what's broken, with Melinda Kapor joining us today from Lisbon, Portugal. Beset in despair, life seems to stand still in the midst of loss, grief, and sadness. It takes its toll on our overall well-being. Sometimes we go through life transitions and challenges that may leave us feeling like our whole world is falling apart. How can we really be stronger in broken places? How can we turn adversity into something beautiful? How can we heal from our wounds and embrace our imperfections? Moreover, it is said nothing heals like time. However, changing our perspective with a new outlook can inspire us to begin again. We can have a breakthrough from brokenness. And as the English poet Lord Byron quotes, "The heart will break, but broken live on." We can pick up the proverbial pieces and feel whole again. And spiritually, we're always whole and complete. And our guest today, Melinda Kapor, joining us from Portugal, has been on several Love Light shows, sharing how we can recover and that healing is possible during times of change. Melinda is an award-winning writer and photographer, and she's drawn to capturing fleeting moments of visual layers and light. Born and raised in California, and she moved to Rome in the 1980s, where she knew no one, never having been there before. And after 4 years in Rome, work took her to Milan, where she met her future husband. And recently, during COVID pandemic, the two of them decided to begin a new chapter in their lives, and they moved to Portugal. Melinda's natural interest in people and their stories led to a degree in sociology from the University of California, Berkeley, and later to work as an intercultural consultant. And she's been a contributing writer to several books, including Be Love, A Conscious Shift to Birthing the Future, and her poignant book of poetry, This Time, Another Place, expresses beauty and sentiments she sees and remembers. And now I am honored and pleased to welcome our amazing guest, Melinda Kapor, on our show today, Gratitude, Finding Beauty in What's Broken. Welcome, Melinda, to Love Light.
Hello, Jean. It's really nice to be with you again.
Yes, and thank you, Melinda, for being on the show today. We go back a long ways as authentic messengers in the international bestseller, Life Sparks, Life Stories to Inspire, Illuminate, and Ignite, and also Be Love, A Conscious Shift to Birthing the Future. So we are so pleased to have you on this outstanding show today. Gratitude, Finding Beauty in What's Broken. And Melinda, can you, I know I highlighted some things about you in our opening, but can you really tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired this episode?
Oh, well, you kind of summed it up, I think, when you said my little history there. But, Yes, I was born in California many years ago, and in the 80s, I decided to move to Europe, and I moved to Rome. I lived there for about 4 years. I mean, living in Rome, it's like the more I saw, the more I wanted to see. And it's kind of like when you start to learn things, you realize how much you don't know. And so I just couldn't get enough. But about 4 years later, I had this feeling that I needed to move. I mean, technically, I could have stayed where I was. I had a business with fashion accessories, and I could have stayed where I was and commuted or gone elsewhere, like to the north, to Milan. But I decided I would move there because I had a contract with the factory at the time for costume jewelry. Anyway, I moved to Milan and I met my husband the first month. And sometimes I think those feelings, when we feel them strongly, it's like this urge. You could be almost say a soul urge, to push you forward. Sometimes that's just, it's getting you going where you need to be. So it was the work that took me there, but that was not the reason I was meant to be there. And just things happen like that. But as for the topic for tonight, it just came, actually, it's morning for you, sorry.
Well, we have listeners worldwide, so it's morning, evening,
Anyway, as it came to me, when you had asked me to speak about gratitude, which is kind of a subject I like to talk about because it's a subject I'm always reminding myself of, to be conscious of. It was that morning I woke, when you're half asleep and half awake, it's kind of that. It's not a truly awake. It's still when you get messages. It's a wonderful kind of fuzzy time where things come through. And I've got a message to speak about Kintsugi, and that for this talk. I was thinking about something else about gratitude, but that's what came to me. And Kintsugi, if anyone knows, it's a Japanese art form that dates from the 15th century. And it began as a means to repair broken ceramics, but it soon developed into a revered art form using precious metals such as gold, silver, or platinum as a bonding material. And it turns things that are shattered, ceramics that are shattered, into unique and beautiful pieces. So I thought of that as an analogy to ourselves and how we all come in as sweet, innocent little babies, perfect in a sense in life. And it's our experiences that shape and form us many times. And often those experiences are hard. They're heartfelt, they're painful, they're not easy. But if we take them and use them for our higher good to help us to grow, they can actually help us to become better people, to be more compassionate and feeling towards others. So that's how I arrived at this idea.
Well, Melinda, it's admirable that you follow your heart and you also follow your divine path as, demonstrated by your life. So that really shows us how to really listen to our heart and take that step of courage to move forward on our path. And we never know the beauty or the things that we'll find along the way. And so thank you also for sharing about the art of Kintsugi. And, here we are, the pain and scars, fragmented pieces, so many losses, so many changes, so many transitions. So as you share to the art of Kintsugi, discuss the concept of brokenness in our lives, lots of changes, relationships, change of plans, even in our physical selves. Can you really highlight, first of all, the concept of brokenness?
I think as a human being, broken can be described in many ways. It can be emotional, it can be physical, it comes from trauma of one type or another. It can be a broken relationship, a change of plans. It can even be a loss of an item that's dear to you. There's so many things. I think broken is when we kind of dwell on something that particularly made us sad or hurt or even angry. And if we can take those pieces that we've had and apply them to ourselves to reflect on, and what did I learn from that? I've used this example before about the death of my father, and how painful that was. But looking back, if my father hadn't passed away, I don't think I ever would have made the move to Europe. I wouldn't have felt that kind of freedom to go, because I grew up in a very tight-knit family. And somehow my dad being the anchor of that family when he wasn't there anymore, it gave me the freedom. His parting gave me the freedom to live life in a different way. It's not that I don't regret his going, but I think we all have to realize that death it's not an end, it's a transition. When we can start to look at things from a different perspective, to see that sometimes these hurts and things that happen to us, there are lessons in them, and we're all going to transition. So the loss of a relationship is just part of life. It doesn't, the transition, if you think of us as being energy doesn't cease existing, it just changes form. So, again, it's about perspective. We've all heard the old adage, the glass being half full and half empty, and we can always find good in a situation. Personally, I've had. Go ahead, Jane. Sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say I've had so many immobility issues myself. It was one thing after the next, after the next, after the next. In fact, I think when I met you, I was still in a boot cast or something, so it was always something with me over a long time period. And I kind of started thinking, all of this is happening because I need to stand on my own 2 feet. And what I learned along the way from it, this example I'm going to give is that I was in a wheelchair and I had to go through TSA. It was in Hartford, Connecticut. And if I hadn't been in that wheelchair, I wouldn't have met this young TSA agent who was truly a lovely person, because they said I had to take my shoes off and walk through, through the x-ray machine. And I'm saying, seriously, I have to take off my shoes? And she said, oh, I'll help you. She was just lovely. And as it turned out, we just started, we exchanged, like Facebook or, how to get hold of each other. And we stayed in touch, and she ended up, I contacted her a couple of years later because I needed help for my elderly mother. I needed somebody to go in for a few hours a week, and she did that. So a friend, if I hadn't been in the wheelchair, I wouldn't have made this lovely friendship. So that's looking at the gift in the broken.
Yes, that's a beautiful example of how we can find, the newness in what's broken, or even the perception of disablement or whatever. There can be people who surround us who can be inspirational and really a gift that you indicated. And Melinda, in our brokenness, there's so many emotions and feelings, and it's important for us to honor and acknowledge our feelings, but not stay stuck there. And we're all are always experiencing transitional points of life and changes in our lives and having to begin again. And for some people, it's like, how do I begin again after losing a child, or, maybe a life transition, or the death of a loved one, or a change in our geographic location. Picking up the pieces, and the analogy of Kintsugi, bringing them all together and making something beautiful out of that is just amazing.
I think we have to honor that time to grieve, because it's very important to grieve and to feel the loss, to feel the change. There's always no going back to that. Again, I talk about the transition of losing a loved one. We can't go back, and the physical void is always there, but we can remember the good times. We can actually even keep talking to those who have departed. And again, I only can talk from personal experiences, but it's truly amazing that when you reach out, when you are open to to the unknown or to believing, sometimes the signs come in the most astounding ways. You can't really look for them, but they happen when it's unexpected. I remember you talked about your white feather before from your grandmother, and so these are things that just happen. I remember. I think I've talked about. I don't know if I've talked about my carpet before, but. When my father, after he passed, and he wanted to take me to the then Yugoslavia, where his family, where his parents came from, and he was already gone. I'm dreaming him now, and he's telling me in detail about the other side and how beautiful it is, and that's all I could remember about the other side, that it's beautiful. But then he told me about 4 Persian carpets, and I'm actually thinking in my dream, what is he talking about, 4 Persian carpets? So I see my relatives in Rome. We're all headed to Dubrovnik. And I tell them about this dream, and they say how strange and everything. Oh, and I think I have to continue this in just a minute, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Well, hold your thought, because it's a beautiful story about your experience and how things can come to us in dreams, how we're inspired by our loved ones. So hold that thought, because when we come from break, I'd like for you to kind of give us that analogy again, and then we'll talk through your amazing story. And I'm sure our listeners can relate to that. But right now, we're ready for a brief commercial break. So stay tuned for more on gratitude, finding beauty, and what's broken with our amazing guest, Melinda Kapor, joining us today from Portugal, an award-winning, best-selling author, photographer, and her signature book, This Time, Another Place. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Announcing Dr. Jean Marie Farish's new book, Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations. This is the companion piece to Dr. Farish's best-selling book, Living in the Spirit of Love, Our Natural State of Being. Through the new book, we invite you to cultivate a lifestyle of love through daily devotional practices over a 21-day period, following 9 ingredients in the recipe of love. Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations is available on Amazon.com and Balboa Press.
Jean Marie Farish's Center for Conscious Loving, LLC, cultivates a lifestyle of love and wholehearted connections through personal growth, altruistic services, and speaking engagements. Resources include classes, workshops, life care coaching, and creative service projects with an emphasis on cultural arts. Visit the website at drjeanmariefarish-consciousloving.com. That's drjeanmariefarish-consciousloving.com, or click the link on the Love Light show page.
Best-selling authors international news honors best-selling authors around the globe. Dr. Jean Marie Farish is featured in the newly released issue of Published magazine. To have first access to this treasured resource, go to publishedmagazine.com. Vicki Winterton and Dr. Jean Marie Farish have compiled a dynamic book, We're All in This Together, Embrace One Another, an anthology with 24 highly diverse co-authors who share how to spread the message of love, resilience, inclusivity, and compassion. This book is an invaluable source of uplifting, inspiring, and positive insights for spreading positivity in the world. We're All in This Together, Embrace One Another is available on Amazon.com. Be sure to get your copy today. Follow Voice America at Facebook.com/Voice America for juicy updates from your favorite radio shows and podcasts.
You are tuned in to Love Light with Dr. Jean Marie Farish. Feel free to connect with our program through email or check out our links on Facebook. Reach Jean at Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. That's Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. And now, back to Love Light.
Welcome back to Love Light, Living in the Spirit of Love. I'm your host, Dr. Jean Marie, and today we are with our amazing guest, Melinda Kapor, joining us from Portugal on our show, Gratitude, Finding Beauty in What's Broken. Melinda's an award-winning author, photographer, her signature book, This Time, Another Place. And when we concluded in our first segment, Melinda was sharing a beautiful story about a dream that she had about her father, and she was guided to really pursue a path that led to something beautiful. So, Melinda, would you highlight your story and do a recap on the significance of your dream and your story?
Well, to continue, I did have this dream about my father who was deceased, and he was telling me in the dream about these 4 Persian carpets. And I'm on the way to Yugoslavia to meet my cousin from California and my aunt. And we ended up going into the hills above Dubrovnik in Herzegovina. And I had cousins there that I didn't even know existed, let alone their livelihoods. And one of them, Drago, he worked in a rug factory where they made Persian carpets. And he got us in as wholesalers, and between 3 of us, we bought 4 Persian carpets. And it didn't dawn on us until later, the significance of this dream. For me, it was a message that life continues. It was a message from my dad that he still existed and that he still exists. And it set in motion, that first trip to Dubrovnik set into motion a life path for me. I went a lot on feelings. Here was a broken piece in my life, but I turned it into something that was almost new in my willingness to listen to myself, to listen to that voice. Some people might not have a voice. They can say it's a hunch or you go by a gut feeling, but to just go forward and not to be afraid. I mean, we could mourn the person who was, or we can also honor the person by continuing our life and doing something that he or she would want us to. Mm-hmm. That's an important thing to think of. The loss of a child. My mom, she lost my younger brother when he was just 25. I know other people who have lost their children. There is nothing worse. There's no comfort there at all what to say. But again, the knowing that there's a continuation, that this is not the end, and that there is a reason. We can't know the rhyme or the reason from our earthly perspective. From a spiritual perspective, there is always a reason. And sometimes I think people can do more from the other side. They're needed there.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. And beauty can be found in brokenness. Lessons can be learned. Things happen for our highest good. And we can realize the purpose of the pain. Perhaps not at that moment, but I know for myself, when I look back, it's like, yes, I understand now why that happened. Exactly. It brings insight and it brings wisdom. So Melinda, talk about application of the principle of Kintsugi to our lives.
It's when you tie it in with gratitude. And yes, we have broken pieces in our lives. When I say these experiences, things that have hurt us, have broken us in a way. But if we can find something to be thankful for, going back again to losing a person, but to be thankful for the times you did have together. It's important to look for the good where there is something that has been broken. Even in a relationship that ends, let's say a romantic relationship, friends that end, there's always something to be thankful for. And also when an end comes, it's because you need to go somewhere else. I want to say there's nothing wrong with ending a relationship if it serves you, because it's not good to stay in a relationship that's prohibiting you from moving ahead as an individual and from growing. Before my husband, I was in a relationship in San Francisco that was quite emotionally abusive, and it took me realizing that I deserved better. And once I realized it and I acknowledged it, I set in motion to leave. It didn't mean that I wasn't sorry. I mean, there were tears that I shed for it because I had all these hopes and dreams that I had put into the relationship. But once I was gone, once the process of leaving is finished and I was in my new place, I just felt a sense of relief. I'm not sorry for that relationship because it taught me self-worth, to appreciate myself and that I deserve better. And I think that people come into our lives to teach us things. Sometimes the worst enemy, which seems like an enemy, is actually your greatest teacher, because it's how you deal with your relationship with that person. I mean, to look at oneself and to say, why does that person push my buttons? What do I need to learn here from that? So there's certain ways to get through things. The gratitude is important to have that while we're recuperating from any loss or brokenness that we're feeling. I was looking online the other day and I found something that was so, I think, helpful and practical, is this Discover Gratitude Program. If somebody just puts that into Google, Discover Gratitude Program, it will lead you to the Mayo Clinic, and they offer a free course on improving your health through gratitude. I think this is just wonderful because now they acknowledge how important it is to feel gratitude. So there are 3 points that they bring out. And things we've talked about before, it's like things that we all know, but just to hear them again from a medical organization that's so renowned. One is to be thankful for something, and that's for anything. It could just be, the beauty of a flower, but anything, to consciously be thankful. 2 is to have shown an act of kindness to someone every day. It could just be a little thing like opening the door for someone or saying, oh, you look nice today, or even thank you is an act of kindness. And the other one was being in the moment. So those 3 things on a conscious effort to do this every day can change not only your perspective on life, but also how you are with your own physical and emotional self. It's fascinating because it's so simple, and yet to put it into practice can be so difficult when we're hurting. I think of these practices of gratitude like the gold bonding that holds together the ceramic vase that's broken. That's the gel, that's the bond, that's the gold, is the gratitude, when we can find that in the most desperate of circumstances.
That is so beautiful. Gratitude is a mood shifter, and you're talking about changing your perspective on how you look at brokenness that can help us get through tough times. And it is said that our challenges are our biggest opportunities for growth. And as you shared earlier, looking at divine timing, there's a time when, the seasons of life, perhaps there's a time to move on. There's a time to let go. It may not be easy, but what's there for our highest good is good for others as well. And sometimes relationships or jobs or whatever, certain situations have served their purpose or outlived their purpose. So we bless it, we move on, and look forward for new beginnings.
That's so true. I love how you say that, Jean. You're so articulate.
Well, and you are as well. And I love that you highlighted this aspect of gratitude as the goal, because it helps us become more resilient in facing our challenges. We all deal with challenges, or we all have experienced brokenness. And as you indicated earlier, even in relationships or certain experiences in life, they can help us find our way to love, right? Find our way back to ourselves, as you indicated, whether we're in abusive, toxic relationships. I've been there before, but when we look back, it's like, okay, I learned a lot about my own worth and my own love and care for myself.
What I like about the Kintsugi is that the fractures in the broken are highlighted. it's after the process of the bonding with the gold or another precious metal that they become highly individualized. They become more valuable. So if you think of ourselves and all these broken pieces and hurts we've had in our life and how we've learned from them and bonded from them and gelled from them, and it makes us who we uniquely are. We're so different from everyone else, and yet we're the same. We're all these ceramic vases, or ceramic dishes, but, we're put together differently, and we all have our own beauty and uniqueness. I think that's really, the analogy to me is, it just is divine how it came to me. I don't know.
It is.
I don't know how I thought of it, but I really feel it to be true.
I love that you were divinely inspired with this episode because, when we trust and you kind of put it out there to be guided by spirit, you will be led the way. And you have demonstrated this in your choice of the topic today. I really appreciate that. And, it means so much, I'm sure, to our listeners to pay attention, listen to that inner voice, pay attention to your dreams. They can lead the way.
Yes, it's really true. I mean, if we pay attention is the word, yeah, but sometimes we don't acknowledge it. I sometimes it's the littlest things, the smallest things that can make you feel, can ease your heart, and it can make you feel happy. Right now, the trees are all in bloom here. They're just beautiful, this beautiful lavender color, and you can find joy in just looking at the color around you. When one is thinking of themselves, and in misery, it's very hard to see what's around. But if you can open your eyes for just a little bit and become more visual and look to see there is something to be grateful for, there is beauty to be seen. Even if you live in a gray city, there is something, a cloud, something beautiful. Look up. There will always be something that you can, just a little glimmer of thankfulness, of gratitude. That's all it takes to make your day better.
Indeed. And it reminds me of something I read about Mother Teresa. And she said when she was in the most dire situation, she would always look for something beautiful, a flower, something, and then I think it was, who was that? Viktor Frankl, when he was a Holocaust survivor, and he said when he would see the sun rise, that would, change his mood, survived another day. So to our listeners, look for something beautiful, and there's beauty that surrounds us.
That's really true. And again, these things that happen to us, they're always there for a reason. They're a reason to better ourselves. I know someone who is unable to let go of any past hurts. I mean, we're talking 20, 30 years of hurt. She's hauling around with her, and it becomes like an open sore. She's not able to find any joy. It's better to leave the past in the past, to remember things with joy, but to leave the painful things past. Yes, you've grown from it, you've learned from it, and not to forget those lessons, but not to dwell on it either. We're in the present moment. This is all we have right now, and we have to go forward from here. There's this moment right now, it becomes your memories of tomorrow.
Yes, so true. And we have to realize that gratitude is a choice.
It is.
It may sound, it perhaps is not that easy to get through tough times, but for our listeners, just try to be grateful, find beauty, find something to be thankful for. It's a choice, and we can change our mindset. And as Melinda is sharing, we can look at loss or change from a whole new perspective, and we can become resilient. We can begin again. And I think we're up for another commercial break. And when we come back from break, Melinda's going to share a couple of her favorite poems. And what I like to share about Melinda, she spends many days going around Spain, looking at artwork, cathedrals, anything that's beautiful. And she's always posting beautiful pictures and of sights, and she really lives her purpose, and I really admire her for that. But I think we're ready for another commercial break. So listeners, stay tuned for more on this outstanding show, Gratitude, Finding Beauty in What's Broken with Melinda Kapor, joining us from Portugal, award-winning best-selling author, photographer, and her signature book, This Time, Another Place. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Dr. Jean Marie Farish is proud to announce the release of her new book, Living in the Spirit of Love, Our Natural State of Being, available now at Balboa Press. This book will help you master your life and flourish in love. You'll learn how to become a better and more evolved you. Feel good by making life-affirming choices. Deepen your feelings and expressions of love. Tune in love and sustain the change. And flourish in love and find your joy. Visit BalboaPress.com and search for Living in the Spirit of Love and enjoy Dr. Farish's new book today.
I'm Judy Satori. I'm a spiritual channel and activator of human potential. You might have heard me speaking on the Voice of America on Dr. Jean Farish's show, Love Light, because I've been speaking about the challenges that are besetting all of us right now and how we can surrender but also keep on going. I want to invite you to join my new Facebook group that is devoted to heart-centered connection and unity. Through this Facebook group, you can also join my free access question and answer session with Spirit on the first Wednesday to Thursday of every month. Just search Ascension Community on Facebook to join the group. In this session, I answer questions and transmit energy from Spirit to give you guidance and support. Because life on planet Earth ain't easy right now. And there is so much help from above, from beings of love and light, from multidimensional realities who are actually here with us, wanting to step up and support us. I welcome you to become part of our ongoing group conversation about evolutionary change and how it's affecting us as human beings and affecting our life today. Many blessings to you. You can find out more about me and my work at www.ascensionlibrary.org. Have a wonderful day.
Announcing Dr. Jean Marie Farish's new book, Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations. This is the companion piece to Dr. Farish's best-selling book, Living in the Spirit of Love, Our Natural State of Being. Through the new book, we invite you to cultivate a lifestyle of love through daily devotional practices over a 21-day period, following 9 ingredients in the recipe of love. Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations is available on Amazon.com and Balboa Press. Best-selling Authors International news honors best-selling authors around the globe. Dr. Jean Marie Farish is featured in the newly released issue of Published magazine. To have first access to this treasured resource, go to PublishedMagazine.com.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You are tuned in to Love Light with Dr. Jean Marie Farish. Feel free to connect with our program through email or check out our links on Facebook. Reach Jean at Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. That's Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. And now, back to Love Light.
Well, welcome back to Love Light, Living in the Spirit of Love. And if you're just joining us, we are with our amazing guest, Melinda Kapor, joining us today from Portugal. Award-winning author, photographer, her signature book, This Time, Another Place. On our show today, Gratitude, finding beauty in what's broken. And Melinda, just to continue from our second segment as we look at Kintsugi and the whole process of healing, let's talk a little bit about that, because we know that people can choose to stay stuck, because healing, if you stay stuck, perhaps it can be attention seeking. Perhaps there may be some benefits of staying stuck. The benefit of not moving on, not going forward. So can you talk a little bit about, the whole process of Kintsugi and healing and having that courage to move on and experience something new?
Well, if you're stuck, you're still broken, and you haven't mended put the pieces back together. You haven't made a thing of beauty yet, because think of yourself as a ceramic bowl that's cracked and you're in three pieces. I mean, can imagine that put together, bonded with gold and the veins of gold, and how beautiful that becomes. It's something unique. One thing I've found in my own life is when I've talked about difficult times in my life, I found someone else who had a similar experience. On the earthly plane, we all have hurts of one kind or another. And if you can share that in one way, you'll find that there is someone else, or reach out to someone who is suffering, that you have experienced it and you could help them because you've gone through it. And also, a lot of times when we're grieving for something, or even angry that something has happened, if we just have the patience to give it time. For example, my husband lost his job when this was 2008. And for a few months, it was really, really hard for us. But afterwards, because he lost his job, he was able to apply for an early pension. And because he applied for an early pension, he was able to get in on the older laws before the laws had changed. So it was to his benefit, and it wouldn't have happened if he hadn't lost his job. So sometimes we don't realize the benefit until we look back and we say, wow, if that tragedy hadn't happened, if that heartache hadn't happened, if that trauma hadn't happened, we wouldn't be where we are today.
True.
There are gifts. There is that expression. There's always, in every problem, there's a gift. In every gift, there's a problem.
Yes,
it's something to think about that. To be stuck in misery, when there's so much to be thankful for, if you find yourself stuck in that and you can't get out, just look around, be grateful for that little grandchild, or be thankful for the neighbor who said hello, or look at those beautiful posies growing by the side of the road. Just start with little steps to be better. If you want to be better, as you said, Jane, it's always a choice. Exactly. It's always a choice. You can, but when you are like that, I think you tend to draw more of that to you.
Exactly.
When you find things to be grateful for, there are more things to be grateful for that come to you, or that you're aware of them. When you're stuck in misery, more things follow that make you miserable.
That is so true. And Melinda, I think you have some poems that you'd like to share.
Yes, I do. And these are not from my book. They're going to go in the new book, whenever that will be, I hope soon. The first one, I wrote it for this show. It's called Kintsugi. We all come into life seemingly perfect at birth, to find as we go along and grow that we become bruised and scarred, both within and without. Though the scabbed knees and broken bones heal, it's the inner wounds that we nurture and keep, to be reflected on as years pass, sometimes with resentment or anger for what was inflicted on us. Only when we realize that these hurts were for our higher good, to make us strong individuals, to help us to become better human beings, are we able to let go and sigh with relief that the burden of carrying that resentment is gone, and what is left is a piece to add to the wonderful mosaic of our experiences that make us wholly unique and truly us. Just like the form of Kintsugi, we are mended.
That's so beautiful. Great analogy of how we can apply this to our lives. And you have another as well?
Yes. This one is called Escalator Scar. I still have the scar of when I tripped on the escalator while working in a department store during my college years. I was a floater, going from section to section as needed. One day, I was in a rush to be on time for my next assignment. Haste makes waste, said Benjamin Franklin. No truer words ever said. For rushing as I did not to be late, I was more late than I would have been. I like my scar, for it's a subtle reminder of a lesson learned, though I haven't always remembered not to hurry, and I've got the scars to prove it.
Beautiful. And
so that's just kind of saying it's not like we learn everything in one go. We're tested over and over and over, and it's just like, I like speaking about gratitude because I need to be reminded of it all the time.
Yes,
it's just part of being human.
And Melinda, it shows us that we can kind of look back at those scars and again, it's a reminder to move forward or, like you say, don't rush, be patient. You have that scar to remind you.
Yes, it's so true.
And, that's an analogy for the scars in life. When we look back and, through the brokenness, through the scars, healing is possible. We don't have to be stuck. We don't have to stay there. We can look for new beginnings. And Melinda, you're going to give away those poems to our listeners, right?
The one on Kintsugi, when you go to my website, if you highlight Love Light, I'm going to have a link so that you can have this poem. And also I do have photographs on the website that you can get a free postcard. And there's also a free chapter that if you sign up, you can have a free chapter from a book that I did. Yes, so please check in. It's Kapor.com, and that's easy to find me. And if you would like to look at my pictures more, there's a lot of them on Instagram, which is MKAPOR1, and that's my name. My name, actually, I never know how to pronounce it. In English, they pronounce it Kapor. And in the old country, it was Kapor. So depending on to whom I'm speaking, I just, I really don't know. You can just look me up, MKAPOR1. And I please reach out. I would love to hear from you.
And Melinda, you have a passion and an eye for beauty. You live it every day. And again, I just have to share that your photos that you post almost daily are just beautiful. You share history of places. You really live your passion and you help people find the beauty. Even looking at your pictures is a mood changer. And it brings a curiosity about the places that you're visiting or the places that you see or capturing that ray of light. You do it beautifully.
It's interesting how during the day, everything can change from the light. If you wake up early in the morning, there's that beautiful gold of early day, and on the buildings, even living in a city, things are aglow. And at night, in the evening, I call it the golden hour when the sun just hits so. So light has a lot of different, light of midday is very different than that of 4 o'clock. Those are just little subtle changes that can change your perspective. I was reading how it's like there are little glimmers of appreciation there, little things to be grateful for. I think once we start the practice of being grateful, and again, it's like what I'm saying to myself, then it becomes easier and life becomes more beautiful. We certainly aren't grateful for pain, so why dwell on it,
Yes.
Let's look for something to make us feel better.
That is so true. And Melinda, let's see, how can people connect with you again? And maybe how can they access your book? Is that on your website or what?
Yes, on my website there is all of the books. There are links to all of the books, so they're easily to obtain. And then you can find me on, again, melindakapor.com. And please leave a note. Love to hear from you.
That's good.
And say love light. Make sure you mention love light, because then I'll know how we know each other.
Yes, indeed. And your book, the title, This Time Another Place, right?
Yes.
And it has the spiritual symbolism of the monarch butterfly that represents transformation.
Yes, it does. The butterfly is so important. And I just opened up to one page in my book, This Time Another Place, and it touches on what I was talking about, kind of being in the moment and appreciating what's around you, little things. It's called Glistening Gold. Yellow leaves falling to the ground, glistening gold in the sunlight. A simple pleasure in just a few seconds, caught from my viewpoint above the trees. I was sitting at my desk and I looked out the window and I saw those leaves and the sun, and I just went, oh, what a beautiful thing to see. Another grateful moment.
Yes.
So
Look for the beauty in those simple, small places. It's everywhere. And again, you do it so beautifully.
I think, again, as I said earlier, that what I feel is that gratitude is what is the bonding, is the healing, is our Kintsugi for ourselves. It will help us to be what we're meant to be. We're all unique people, unique individuals, and beautiful individuals with all of our scars and all of the things that make us who we are. You know, we are unlike any other, but we're so alike in the ways that are important. And we just, a helping hand, you know, even if it's just, sometimes you can change somebody's day if you just say one kind word to that person. And that can mend too, I think, can help that person think differently about themselves.
And as you indicated earlier, we can be the support for others as well. So not only just for ourselves, but be a blessing to others. And what blesses one, blesses all. And Melinda, thank you so much for being on Love Light today on this inspirational, encouraging show. You are a true testament to the beauty and gratitude, living your passion and purpose each day. Thank you for sharing and pointing the way to healing with love and gratitude. And we invite listeners to listen back on demand and share our show with others and connect with Melinda to learn more. Okay, so begin anew with my new book, Thoughts for Today, available on Amazon in print and Kindle ebook. Much gratitude to the Voice America team for making this show a reality and for shining their love light around the world. And I'll close with a couple of pieces. Savor life, cherish each moment, and make each moment count. Look for the beauty that surrounds you. Most importantly, look for the beauty within yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Nurture yourself with compassion, care, and love. Then another, begin anew. Release the past and concerns about the future. Be ever present and embrace the fullness of life. Enjoy each precious moment and live without regrets. Forgive and set yourself free. Trust that everything is working in your favor. To move forward, lavish in the glory of sunrises and sunsets. Be grateful and feel the blessing of a brand new day. And I have a closing on breakthrough. Level mountains and break through seemingly impossible situations and barriers. Incredible things happen in even the darkest places. Summon your inner strength, look beyond the physical, and trust in the supernatural to do the impossible. Break free from the past. Dwell not on failures. Be resilient and position yourself for new beginnings. It's time for renewal and restoration. You can live better and love deeper with an open heart. This is Dr. Jean Marie, your Love Light host, coming to you from Voice America. And until we meet again, remember, an empowered self is a loving self. And keep your love light shining. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to Love Light this week. Be sure to join Dr. Jean Marie Farish again for another program next Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and noon Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Have a wonderful week filled with love, self-worth, and better connections.